Picture this. You send a thoughtful text. Nothing dramatic, nothing demanding. Just something warm, something real. Hours go by. Then a reply finally comes back. Short, flat, safe. Just enough to keep the conversation alive, but not enough to make you feel close. And now you're staring at your screen, feeling that familiar drop in your chest. That strange mix of confusion, hurt, and self-doubt that makes you question everything all at once. Did I say too much? Why do they pull away every time things get real? Why do I feel shut out by someone who says they care? Am I asking for too much? Or am I just too much? Here's the truth most people miss. The distance is not always about a lack of love. Sometimes it's about a person whose entire inner world has been built around avoiding rejection, exposure, and emotional risk. So if you've ever loved someone who always seemed just out of reach, or if you are the one who keeps disappearing behind silence, you're not broken. You're not failing at love. And this is not just how you are. By the end of this video, you're going to understand what avoidant personality disorder actually feels like from the inside, why withdrawal becomes a way of life, and what creates the first real crack in those walls. Let's get into it. Most couples believe withdrawal means disinterest. Most people believe distance means coldness. Most friends will tell you if they cared, they'd show it. But the real truth is deeper than that. When someone lives with avoidant personality disorder, the issue usually isn't that they don't want connection. It's that connection feels dangerous. Exposure feels dangerous. Being known feels dangerous. And that changes everything. Because your partner's nervous system is reading closeness before their mind can make sense of it. A vulnerable conversation that looks small to you can feel enormous to them. A simple bid for intimacy can land in their body like a spotlight, and all they want in that moment is somewhere to hide. That's why what looks like indifference is often terror beneath the surface. What looks like disconnection is often longing wrapped in protection. What looks like they don't care is sometimes they care so much that being seen feels unbearable. And here's the part most couples never figure out. Trying harder does not always create more closeness. Not more talking, not more pushing, not more emotional pressure disguised as honesty. Because when safety leaves the interaction, the walls go up even faster. This is not the same thing as simple introversion. Not shyness, not moodiness, not someone just needing space. Avoidant personality disorder is a deeper pattern of social inhibition, hypersensitivity to criticism, and chronic fear of rejection that can shape how a person works, loves, attaches, and protects themselves. So if you want to understand the life of withdrawal, you have to stop asking, why won't they come closer? And start asking, what does closeness feel like inside their body? That's where the real answer is. And here's what changes everything. 1. The wall is built before the conversation starts. Most couples think withdrawal begins in the moment. It doesn't. It usually starts long before the actual interaction even happens. For someone with avoidant personality disorder, the nervous system is often scanning for humiliation, criticism, or subtle rejection before a word is even spoken. They don't walk into connection empty. They walk in braced. They walk in anticipating pain. So while one partner is thinking, "Can we just talk about this?" the other person is already flooded beneath the surface. Their body is preparing for judgment. Their mind is rehearsing failure. Something in them is whispering, "You're going to say this wrong. You're going to be exposed. You're going to regret opening up." Most couples miss this because they only look at behavior. But behavior is the smoke. The deeper pattern is the fire. Here's the disconnecting version. You say, "Why do you shut down every time I try to talk to you?" They hear, "You're defective again." So they go quiet, look away, and leave the room. Here's the connecting version. You say, "I can feel you going somewhere far away right now. I'm not trying to corner you. I just want to understand what this moment feels like for you." And now their brain is quietly registering, "Maybe I'm not in trouble. Maybe I don't have to defend myself yet." That's the shift. And when you do that, the wall doesn't disappear instantly, but it stops getting reinforced brick by brick. 2. They don't avoid people. They avoid exposure. Here's the part no one talks about. Most couples assume the withdrawn person is avoiding intimacy because they don't need people that much. But most people with avoidant personality disorder are not detached from longing. They are detached from safety. They want connection. They want closeness. They want to feel chosen, wanted, emotionally available, real. But they often experience visibility as risk. That's why they may want to be invited, but panic when invited. Want to be loved, but pull away when loved. Want to speak, but freeze when attention turns toward them. It's a brutal cycle, because the very thing they ache for is the very thing their body has learned to fear. Think of it like this. Emotional closeness isn't a doorway for them. It's a stage. And every intimate moment can feel like standing under harsh lights with nowhere to hide. Most couples only see the retreat. They don't see the unspoken panic that comes right before it. Disconnecting version. You say, "Why are you being so distant? I'm literally trying to love you." What they hear is, "You're failing at being human in the exact place it matters most." Connecting version. You say, "I know closeness can feel like pressure sometimes. I'm not asking you to perform with me. I just want to be with you." And suddenly something in them softens. Because the demand to impress has been replaced with permission to exist. That's when your partner stops feeling like an audience to survive and starts feeling like a person you might actually be safe with. 3. Silence becomes a survival strategy. This is where it gets really interesting. Most couples think silence means there's nothing going on. But with avoidant personality disorder, silence is often crowded. Crowded with fear. Crowded with self-monitoring. Crowded with 10 different things they want to say and do not trust themselves enough to speak. Most people in relationships assume talking is the hard part of intimacy. But for someone deeply withdrawn, being emotionally present while imperfect can feel even harder. So they edit themselves. Then they over-edit. Then they say nothing. Because silence feels safer than saying the wrong thing. Safer than being misunderstood. Safer than revealing a need and watching it fall flat. Their nervous system works like a smoke detector set too high. It cannot always tell the difference between normal relational friction and emotional danger. So it sounds the alarm anyway. Disconnecting version. You ask, "What are you thinking?" They say, "Nothing." You push harder. "Come on, clearly it's something." Now they shut down further. Connecting version. You say, "You don't have to find the perfect words. Even if it comes out messy, I'd rather have the real version of you than the polished, silent one." And inside, something in him is saying, "Maybe I don't have to get this exactly right to stay connected." That matters more than people realize. Because when silence stops being the only safe option, presence becomes possible. 4. Criticism doesn't land as feedback, it lands as proof. And this is the one most couples never figure out. Most couples think they're bringing up a small issue, a tone, a missed text, a canceled plan, a lack of effort. Personality disorder, criticism rarely lands as a single moment. It lands as confirmation of a much older story. I knew it. I'm not enough. I always disappoint people. They're finally seeing what's wrong with me. That's why what seems like a reasonable conversation can trigger disproportionate retreat, not because the topic is huge, because the meaning feels huge. Most couples try to solve this by becoming more logical, more detailed, more persuasive. But here's what nobody explains. When shame is activated, the body stops hearing nuance. It only hears threat. Not harsher honesty, not cleaner arguments, not perfect wording, but a tone that protects dignity while telling the truth. Disconnecting version. You never open up. It's exhausting. I feel like I'm in this alone. Even if that pain is real, what they hear is, you are fundamentally impossible to love. Connecting version. I miss you. I know this may make you want to pull back, but I'm not trying to attack you. I'm trying to find you. That lands differently. Because now the issue is the distance, not their worth. That's the shift that turns a hard conversation from a courtroom into a doorway. 5. Withdrawal protects them and starves the relationship. Here's the part that hurts. Most couples treat withdrawal like a personality quirk, something annoying, something frustrating, something to work around. But withdrawal is expensive, for them and for you. Yes, it protects them from immediate discomfort. It lowers exposure. It reduces the risk of embarrassment, conflict, disappointment, rejection. But it also quietly starves the relationship of oxygen. Because intimacy is not built through mind reading, not through guessing, not through hoping your partner magically understands what you never feel safe enough to reveal. It's built through turning toward each other in small, unglamorous, real moments. And when withdrawal becomes chronic, the relationship starts to drift. Slowly at first, then all at once. It's like scar tissue. Not one giant wound, 100 tiny ones that never got repaired. Most couples don't realize this until one partner stops asking, stops reaching, stops trying. And the room gets quiet in a way that feels permanent. Disconnecting version. They feel overwhelmed, so they disappear emotionally for days. You feel abandoned, so you stop bringing your heart to them. Now both people are lonely, but neither feels safe enough to say it. Connecting version. They say, "I want to pull away right now, and I probably need a little space. But I don't want to leave you guessing. I'm coming back." That one sentence changes the whole emotional climate, because now the space has shape. Now the distance has context. Now the connection is strained, but not severed. And when you do that, the relationship stops feeling like a place where people vanish and starts feeling like a place where repair is still possible. 6. Love alone does not heal a fear-based identity. But here's what nobody explains. Most couples believe if the love is real enough, the withdrawn person will eventually relax. That patience alone will do it. That reassurance alone will do it. That being a good partner long enough will finally melt the patterns away. And honestly, that belief breaks a lot of hearts. Because avoidant personality disorder is not just a communication issue. It's often an identity issue. A deep, learned sense of social inadequacy. A chronic expectation of rejection. A self-concept organized around, if people really see me, they will pull away. So no, this is not about trying harder inside the same cycle. Not more rescuing. Not more overfunctioning. Not one partner becoming endlessly patient while their own needs go underground. This is not a communication hack. This is what healing looks like when someone begins to question the identity that made withdrawal feel necessary in the first place. Most couples cannot do that part alone. And that needs to be said clearly. Therapy can matter here. Real support can matter here. Not because the person is broken, but because some walls were never built inside relationship alone, so they usually won't come down through relationship alone either. Disconnecting version. You keep saying, "Just trust me. I'm not going anywhere." But nothing changes because reassurance is landing on top of an identity that still says, "That may be true today, but once you really know me, you'll leave." Connecting version. The shift sounds more like, "I love you, and I also see that this pattern is costing you your life. I'm here with you, but I can't heal this for you." That's not abandonment. That's mature love. That's presence without self-erasure. That's when love stops becoming a hiding place for the pattern and starts becoming a place where real becoming can begin. 7. The first real change is not more closeness, it's more safety. And here's what changes everything. Most couples aim straight for intimacy, more vulnerability, more talking, more emotional depth, more togetherness. But for a life organized around withdrawal, the first healing experience is usually not intensity. It's safety. Safe enough to say, "I don't know what I feel yet." Safe enough to be awkward. Safe enough to need a pause without disappearing. Safe enough to stay in the room while being imperfect. That's the beginning. That's the real work. Because when a person has lived for years behind walls, asking them for instant emotional openness is like asking someone to sprint on a leg that never healed right. You don't start with performance. You start with steadiness. Most couples overlook this because safety feels less romantic than passion, less dramatic than breakthrough conversations, less visible than grand gestures. but the nervous system knows better. A person becomes emotionally available in the same way a frozen room warms up. Gradually, quietly, through consistent heat. Disconnecting version. Why can't you just let me in? That creates more pressure, more self-consciousness, more retreat. Connecting version. I don't need a perfect version of you. I need a real one. We can go slowly, but let's stop disappearing from each other. And somewhere inside, her body is registering, maybe closeness doesn't have to cost me my dignity. That's the moment the life of withdrawal begins to loosen its grip. And that's the shift that turns a relationship from a place of performance into a refuge. So if this topic hits something deep in you, here's what I want you to remember. This is not a checklist. It's not a formula. And it's definitely not about learning how to manage someone into loving you better. It's about seeing clearly. Seeing what's actually happening beneath the surface. Seeing that withdrawal is often a protection pattern before it is a personality trait. And seeing that real connection is not built by forcing walls down, but by becoming someone safe enough to stand near while they come down. If you're the one who withdraws, this is your invitation to stop calling your pain just the way I am. And if you love someone who withdraws, this is your reminder that compassion matters, but so do truth, boundaries, and repair. These aren't just tips for a better relationship. They're the beginning of becoming the kind of person who can stay real when closeness gets scary. The kind of person who doesn't confuse distance with strength. The kind of person who understands that presence is not perfection. It's courage.